Thank you for choosing the Wellness Embassy and the Wellness 360 Institute courses. This is the Wellness Ambassador, Dr. Shannon Denard. Here at the Wellness Embassy, we focus on assisting you in accessing your highest potential. Our courses are structured to embed your learning with proven principles of neuro-linguistic psychology, metaphysical science, and holistic medicine, thereby building the most authentic you. If you are ready for transformation through personal empowerment, then join our Wellness Embassy community and sign up for our Wellness 360 Institute courses where you will be empowered to evolve. Once again, this is our Wellness 360 Institute course. It is a signature course that I would like to say that I was divinely inspired to not only design, but to actually put together. And it is a part of our, what you're witnessing right now is a part of our Wellness Warrior Handbook, the Wellness Warrior Compass series. It is a wisdom compass series. And it is a compass to evolve consciousness and well-being. And so as we go to the next slide, once again, just welcome. I want to share with you the purpose of this course. We've gone through so much in the last year. There is a global shift. There's a global shift of consciousness. And so the purpose of this course is to give us some tools as we pursue self-mastery. And we are pursuing self-mastery on the foundation of Christ consciousness. And so these tools will help us shift our consciousness in the direction of maturing for the perfecting of the saints. It is to help us as we begin our journey of self-mastery, our individual self-mastery and Christ being, so that we can participate and be pillars in the corporate body of Christ. And so we are going to be looking at some of what I call platforms in which we as individuals, we need to focus on clearing and what I call transmuting in order to come to that level of evolved consciousness, and more specifically, Christ consciousness. All right, so as we go on, I want to first just give thanks to our global partners, Benchmark Air Quality, Nehemiah Education and Community Development Corporation, and our global partner, Regenerate. I want to thank you for sponsoring, and I know we have Mr. Stephen Williams, who is the owner of Benchmark Air Quality. I know he is here viewing the webinar with us, and I want to thank you. Thank you for your participation. Thank you for the confidence that you have in us as the Wellness Embassy. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you to all, again, to all of the participants in this Taste and See event. All right, so just a couple of quick notes. Please feel free to put your comments in the chat box. If you have any questions, I will definitely try to get to them. I know that there is a feature where you can actually just kind of raise your hand on your, I don't know, some of you are looking, viewing the webinar through your phone, and some are viewing through your computer. But there is a feature where you can just kind of raise your hand. If you don't see that feature, you can always just put your comment in the chat box. All right. Okay, so this again is concepts that we focus on in our Wellness Warrior series and signature courses. The concepts that we are going to be taking a look at today, and of course, we've only got an hour, so we'll do just an overview. On today, I'm going to be sharing with you the number one unrecognized obstacle to change. The thing that most people don't think about when they're in process to change. You set a goal, you set your vision, and you're just kind of trucking along, and then there's an aspect or a variable that is unrealized that could make the difference between you reaching your success goals or not. Number two, we'll be looking at life lessons and energetic threads. And number three, I will be sharing a neuro-linguistic technique to help you clear out, at least begin to clear out the blockages that's stopping or hindering or preventing you from reaching your self-mastery goals. All right, are you ready to transform? Okay, so concept number one, the number one unrecognized obstacle to transformation is non-observance, or being unaware, not realizing the law of iteration and rectification. The law of iteration and rectification. Now, the law of iteration and rectification, the definition of it is the cyclic process of repeating and correcting within the layers and the levels of the cycles to produce refinement. The action taken determines positive or negative outcomes. Now, let's discuss this briefly. Most are familiar with the law of reciprocity. Most are familiar with the law of attraction. The law of reciprocity states that what you sow, you'll reap. The law of attraction states that whatever is in you, that is what you are going to draw to you or draw to your life. However, what most people don't realize is that there's a tributary law to the law of reciprocity. And this is the law of iteration and rectification. The law of iteration and rectification is one of those variables that most people don't see and don't recognize, that is constantly in action and circulation within their lives. We put a lot of focus on making sure that we sow and making sure that we sow the right thing, making sure that we sow with the intent of receiving what we want to receive in return. However, what we don't realize a lot of times is that there are certain things that repeat in our lives. Have you ever experienced a situation or a circumstance where you feel like deja vu, like you've been there before, like you've experienced that exact same thing, and then you kind of ask yourself, why does this keep happening to me? This is a universal law. It is actually a gift. It is the gift of God that allows you the opportunity to correct and perfect. Let me say that again. This is a do-over. It's a do-over for you to correct and perfect. The law of iteration and rectification is one of the most unrecognized laws. In this aspect of this particular teaching, what we are going to focus on is not just what you're sowing, not only what you are attracting, but we're also going to focus on the energy of the emotion that you sow, attract, and the cycles that you're repeating. Let me say that again. One aspect or variable that must be considered as you are sowing and attracting is the type of emotion that you are responding to in any given situation or circumstance, in any given area of the cycle repeating itself, also known as iteration and rectification. Now, the reason why the emotion is so important is because whatever emotion, whether it's joy or whether it's sadness, whatever emotion that you are repeating during these cycles, you are anchoring yourself in an energetic structure that could be the difference between you having a positive result or a negative result in your intention to sow or attract to you. So again, whatever emotion you have as a response throughout the time of this cycle, it will anchor you in an energetic structure. So the next time you see this cycle or this situation or circumstance, you will also see the same emotion that you had as a response from the previous time that you've experienced your experience. Okay, so if you'll take a look at the graph to your right, I have composed this graph just as an example to show the layers that we experience within the law of iteration and rectification. The first is initiation. The initiation is basically the onset of a situation or a circumstance. The activation of it is whoever you have the interaction with. The transcendence is whatever your response is within this level or layer of this cycle. Okay. All right. So let's go to the next slide. So this presentation is meant to be an interactive presentation. So the question here that we need to look at is, what situation immediately comes to mind that you feel you've experienced a cyclic circumstance? Take a moment on your notepad or page and just jot down the situation or the circumstance. Give you a couple of seconds to do that. Again, we are looking at an emotion as an energetic structure, because the energetic structure is what anchors you in a particular way of being or behaving. What situation immediately comes to mind that you feel you've experienced a cyclic circumstance? Have you found any time in your life where you've said to yourself, why does this keep happening to me? That's the circumstance that you need to be jotting down right now. And we're going to work through this. Okay, so if you will put your attention at the first graph of the cycle to the left, it says initiation. Some of you may have a situation or circumstance that came to your mind that at the onset of it, you were a youth. Some you may have experienced something as a teenager. And some you may have experienced a circumstance as an adult. And of course, we all go through different things at different times, but there are things that we experience that could be traumatizing to us. And if we don't know how to process the circumstance, then we could have an emotional blockage. We can have an emotional response or an emotional reaction that may not necessarily be who we want to behave as. And so whatever situation or memory comes to you, we're looking at that as an initiation. Okay, that's an onset. Next, in the center, we have a graph where we are looking at activation. And again, the activation is your interaction with your parents or God or source or whatever it is you consider to be a higher power. Your interaction with yourself and your interaction with others. These are the platforms in which you experience the cyclic circumstances of the law of iteration and rectification. Now, put your attention on the last graph entitled Transcendence. Now, this is a platform here in which, whether you realize it or not, whatever emotion you experienced, it points in the direction of one of these three categories at any given time: your spirituality, your work or business, and your community service. This area of transcendence refers to your outlook and your belief system, your perspective. All right, let's go to the next slide. All right, so another question. Was it a business or a personal relationship? And how did the cycle of events make you feel? What was your emotional choice? Whatever situation or circumstance that came to mind that you jotted down, what was your emotional response? If we look on our platforms of the levels and layers, if you look under initiation, was your emotional choice positive? Did you feel anything at all, or were you neutral? Or was your emotional response negative? Once again, was your emotional choice concerning that event or circumstance, was it positive? Was it neutral? Or was it negative? Under activation, did it make you feel love, indifference, or fear? Love, indifference, or fear? On your platform of transcendence, did it produce unity? Did you detach emotionally from the situation or the circumstance or the person that was involved? Did you detach from it? Or did it produce separation? Once again, did it bring unity, detachment, or separation? Now, the difference between detachment and separation, detachment, sometimes we have people in our lives that, no matter how much you may want to put them out of your life, you may not be able to. So out of an attempt to save ourselves, or out of an attempt to self-medicate, we detach emotionally from the situation. In separation, literally, you do not allow that person to have active participation in your life. Okay, let's go to slide number 4. Now, let's look at concept number 2. Concept number 2 is agreements, contracts, and purpose. A lot of times we don't realize that through our emotional involvement or investment, we establish agreements, contracts, and even purposes for interaction. And because of this, it's important that we begin to look at very, very closely life lessons and energetic threads. If we are going to pursue our journey successfully in self-mastery, it's very important, essential that we become aware of our life lessons and our energetic threads. Let's look at the definition of life lessons and energetic threads. Now, a life lesson is a reoccurring theme or circumstance. This is another level or layer within the law of iteration and rectification. So not only do you see the same types of situations cropping up in your life, but they also have the same type of theme. And what this is, again, this is an opportunity for you to correct something. Let me pause here and say, what a lot of people don't realize is that all disease manifests in the body because of inhibited soul expression. These life lessons are presented to us as an opportunity to heal ourselves. We need situations and circumstances as a platform for us to make the decision to change our behavior, to change our belief about a specific thing, or to change our perspective about it, and to change how we feel, to change the energetic structure that anchors us in a way of being or behaving in our lives. And so, which brings me to the next point or the next definition, energetic thread. The energetic thread is an emotional anchor that binds you to psychic attachments and behaviors. You ever found yourself being drawn to a specific type of person? You ever found yourself being drawn to, or situations and circumstances being drawn to your life? It is because of these specific energetic threads that you are anchored in. And these energetic threads have to be cleared and transmuted. And the way that you do that is by choosing to do something different, choosing to be what you have the opportunity and the potential to be. It is your unique mental and emotional emanation, what flows from you, not just what flows to you, but what flows through you and then from you that qualifies you as a prime candidate for a contract with the creator that says, you know what, you can change this with inside of yourself. And then because of that energetic structure, you can change it in the world. In other words, be the change you want to see in the world. As a man thinketh, where? In his heart, so is he. So all of the pearls of wisdom that you gain from understanding and recognizing and being aware of the life lesson or the theme from your life, that wisdom can be used as a testimony that can free a generation, a culture, or an ethnic group. Who knows if whether or not everything that you have gone through and are going through is for such a time as this. So let us give our attention to the graph of initiation. And once again, these are platforms. These are platforms that we have been given as opportunities to change, opportunities for self-mastery. Now, as we look at an agreement, a contract, and purpose, a lot of times we think of purpose, our purpose in life as something that we want to have success in, our vision or a goal or an accomplishment. But I would present to you the perspective that the purpose is not necessarily the destination. The purpose is what you learn on the journey. These pearls that you learn on the journey is what causes you to become, or this is what contributes to your self-mastery. In your emotional responses, your emotional responses, if they are positive or negative, if they are repeated, they go from stages and levels. The first is an agreement. Have you ever had a situation or a circumstance where someone imposed themselves or their desires on you, and you felt a certain way, but you did what was asked of you? By you not standing in your own personal power and speaking your truth, you have now come into an agreement. If this was not something that you wanted to do, the action that was asked of you, now what you have done is you have set yourself and anchored yourself in an energetic structure that now says you are continuing to draw these type of circumstances to you because you have agreed to behave this way. If you continue in not speaking your truth, doing what is against your values, doing what is against your highest purpose, you establish and crystallize what you do not want. So now, energetically, you have a contract because you have consistently emotionally anchored yourself in what you do not want. It's counterintuitive. It's counterintuitive to self-mastery. Let's take a look at activation. The journey can be negative or positive. It's whatever you say it is. You go through the process of either a positive emotional energetic structure, or you go through the process of a negative energetic structure. Either way it goes, a form of understanding comes. You either understand through pain or fear or disappointment or frustration, or you understand through being empowered to speak your truth. You understand through peace. You understand through love, which brings us to transcendence. The platform of transcendence, the result of your action, can produce love, power, and wisdom. This is Christ consciousness that we are pursuing through self-mastery. Okay, let's go to our next slide. Rarely do we interpret purpose as being a journey of transcendence. Sometimes you don't overcome by cutting. Sometimes you overcome by rising. The energetic thread of trauma or pain in your memories blocks your energetic creative centers from generating the positive life force to transmute your water into wine. Okay. Now, going back to your initial circumstance or situation that you jotted down, what would you correct? Or what would you choose to do about your actions? What would you change to liberate yourself? What emotional choice would you like to assert? It may not necessarily be what you actually experienced the first time. So again, what emotional choice would you like to assert as an energetic anchor? What would you like to experience instead of what you experienced the first time in the situation or circumstance that you jotted down? Okay, so in our initiation, the onset of the situation, we're looking again to see if we experienced an positive energetic anchor, a neutral energetic anchor, or a negative energetic anchor. Was your experience, your emotional choice, was it love? Was it indifference? Or was it fear? What did you become aware of? Was it self-love? Did it produce you? Was your actions producing self-love, self-mastery? Did you come to truly know thyself? Okay, and that's a very important question. So now, how would you cooperate with the law of iteration and rectification, and what course of action you would take if you encountered this situation again? How would you do this over? And more importantly, the next time you see this situation, what would you want your response to be? Replay the event in future tense and purpose. See the outcome that you want, and see and purpose in your mind and in your heart your emotional choice. See the situation going the way you want it to go. The law of iteration and rectification ensures that you will see this again. But if you set your intent to respond according to who you know your highest potential is, you will already have your plan in action, that when this situation comes around again, and it could be something that happened, when you were 10 years old, but I can guarantee you, if you look back, you'll see that this same life lesson or thread has come about in your life probably multiple times. It could have been wearing a pair of pants the first time, and the next time it could have been wearing a dress. Okay. But I promise you, the law of iteration and rectification is at work in your life. And if you set your intent to recognize it, to be aware, that's where your transcendence, that's where your overcoming, that's where your self-mastery takes place. Seizing the opportunity of a do-over. Okay, so if we replay this event in future tense, our purpose is first self-mastery. And that will lead to knowing ourselves. And once we begin to know ourselves and we take the course of action and the emotional, energetic structure of right action, then this anchors us to manifest Christ consciousness. So just take a moment as we go to the next slide, just take a moment to literally see it, see this situation and circumstance within your mind. Replay it, but replay it with the results that you want to have. Now, please be aware, you cannot change anyone but yourself. Your replaying it should not go towards the other person doing a certain action or not doing a specific thing. You have the power to change. So change what you can. Change you. See yourself doing something different. And our last concept number 3. This is our neuro-linguistic technique. And this is a technique out of a desperation to heal certain areas of my life. I feel like I've been divinely inspired to design a technique that was easy, that was understandable, and it was based on actual psychology and the science of neuro-linguistics. And so if you are ready, we are going to go into, let's go back. We are going to go into our technique. Now, see your brain. We're going to take a moment. I want you to close your eyes and keep in mind this situation and circumstance that you have put down on your notepad. Set your intent as a new response, a new energetic structure, the emotion that you want to experience. You may look back and say, oh man, I did not handle that right. I got angry, I blew up. But if this ever happens again, you know what? I'm going to handle this differently. I'm going to maintain my inner peace. I'm going to stay poised. I'm going to stay calm, cool, and collected. Okay. So I want you to close your eyes, and whatever response you want to have, I want you to first take a deep breath with your eyes closed. And I want you to imagine your brain. Just imagine your brain. And while your eyes are closed, I want you to see a fuse. It could be any type of fuse. It could be a fuse from an electrical panel. It could be a fuse from a light, any type of fuse. It could even be a fuse from a computer motherboard panel. While your eyes are closed, I want you to imagine your brain and taking out the fuse of the emotion that you want to change out. And imagine the fuse being the emotion that you want to respond as. So take out the old fuse that's burned out and imagine putting the new fuse in your brain. Just simply set it inside. I'll take a moment, give you a moment to do that. Change out the fuse. Change out the fuse. Change out the fuse. Change out the fuse. You may have several things that you've experienced that maybe you did not respond correctly. You may have 3 fuses that you want to change. If you feel like you want to change them out. Change out the fuse. All right. Now, see the situation. See the circumstance. See the persons that was involved. Right now, we are going to thank them for the lesson that was learned. Thank them for the opportunity that they contributed to you changing. Thank them in your mind and bless them. Bless them. Remember, you are not that person. You are not that 10-year-old. You are not the sum total of the response that you had at that time. Forgive yourself and bless yourself. And now, just simply repeat after me. I thank you for this situation, this opportunity to learn. I forgive, and insert that person's name. And I bless, insert that person's name. I am the kingdom of God, and the fullness of the Godhead dwells in me bodily. I clear and transmute this water into wine. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. And you may notice that as you think about that situation or circumstance, there's not as much of an emotional charge, or the emotional charge could be gone. You could just feel neutral. It could have been dissolved. It may be where over the next couple of days, you will notice that if that situation comes to mind, you don't feel the same about it. This technique is something I developed, as I stated, out of a desperation to heal myself. I could not continue to go through carrying the pain and the trauma of the situations and circumstances. And I wanted to do something different, be different. And I wanted it fast, quick, fast, and in a hurry. And I realized that simply making a choice to not only be different and do differently, but also to feel differently. I was able to change and transmute this threefold cord. And so with this, I share with you the opportunity for self-mastery, and to start and take the first steps on your self-mastery journey, and to do it with ease, with poise, with success. And so I thank you for joining me on this webinar. I thank you for giving me your time and giving me your attention. And I hope it is my sincere prayer that something that was said resonated with you. Something that was said was helpful to you. Please feel free to post comments in the chat box. And once again, this was just a taste and see of our signature 6-week self-mastery course that will begin April 21st through May 26th. The topics of discussion through this these 6 weeks will be the 4 laws, the 4 pillars, the 4 lenses, and the 4 technologies. I hope you have enjoyed this taste and see. And I want to tell you all that I love you and I appreciate you, and thank you so very much for joining me on this webinar event, and we will be doing this again. Please feel free to join us and visit us on Facebook. You can contact us by phone, area code 409-678-1530, or you can visit the website at wellnessembassydennard.org. All right, Wellness Warriors. Well, this concludes our webinar for this evening. Once again, thank you so very much for joining me. I hope you've received something. I hope something that I've said resonate with you. I hope you've had some help. I hope that maybe some things have been brought to your awareness. And I'm hoping that you will begin to recognize the law of iteration and rectification and seize those opportunities as a time for a do-over. Purpose within yourself that you are going to be the best you that you can be. Speak your own truth, know yourself, love yourself. To yourself, be true. And once again, thank you for joining me. This is the Wellness Ambassador, Dr. Shannon Dennard, and I hope to see you again soon. Although this course is coming to a close, the Wellness Embassy and Wellness 360 Institute hopes that your journey to self-mastery through applying the tools that you have learned is just the beginning. If you haven't done so, please take a moment to visit our Pathway Compass, as it is a valuable tool for personal empowerment. This is the Wellness Ambassador, Dr. Shannon Dennard, wishing you well-being, and thank you for being a part of our global wellness community.